you. I would love to start this off. Just can you introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, I am Chelsea, and I run Pickle Shop, which on Instagram and my website are both Pickle Shop Curiosity. I have an Etsy account that's Pickle Shop. I have mostly my custom pieces on there, so that's where you can go for more custom stuff. The other things I make, I typically take to markets. I'm in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. And so I typically do markets, obviously not doing that right now.
Yeah.
I have a website as well, but I don't have any product on there. I'm hoping to get to that point soon, given the current state of affairs.
So right now, Etsy is where people should find you if they want to shop.
Yeah, and then I also have everything I make posted on my Instagram, and I've been posting prices lately. So if you see anything, DM me.
Make it nice and easy for everybody. Yeah.
It's easy. I mean, I didn't list a lot of my stuff on Etsy because I take it to markets, so it sells, faster in person, and it's just to keep track of it in one way. So that's worked for me for a long time, but currently it's a little.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into all of that.
Yeah.
So you're in Tampa, Florida right now at home. How has things changed? Because you've got kids. You have three kids.
3 kids, yeah.
School age kids.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, how's life right now for you?
A lot different.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the biggest change has been in the amount of time that I am able to burn and create. So I do have 3 kids, and typically I would burn while they were in school. I had in school a couple of weeks and would spend that time just kind of, having time to myself and creating, doing what I could. So that has ended, and they just officially on Saturday officially canceled the school year for the rest of this
Welcome
year.
to the club.
It was bound to happen. It was just like, oh, when we all heard. But I mean, it makes sense. It didn't come as much of a surprise. But so yeah, all 3 kids are home. I am teaching subtracting fractions and writing paragraphs and stuff for my 2nd grader, and then just trying to entertain. My youngest was in preschool, so it's certainly different.
Yeah, you and I are in a very similar boat with our kids and their ages and all of that stuff. And you hear all these people that are bored and picking up all these hobbies, and I'm like, oh,
my hobby time is gone.
Yeah. But are you finding time? Are you doing wee hours of the morning or late at night? When are you able to get any time in?
Typically, I am able to, once we kind of get through our school day, because my husband's working from home now as well. So after we finish school, I'm outside, and I'm kind of able to sneak away for a little bit some days and get some burning done. I haven't been doing a ton though. I just have anything lined up right now, and sort of a little lack of motivation.
No, I get that, and it's okay. You also kind of need to settle into this new normal and figure out a new routine that works for you and the family. I mean, I know my husband and I just recently figured out okay, I'm going to work these hours every day. And now I'm able to actually set myself up for that. Whereas before I had all this time and I could kind of float into work and float out of work and work when I wanted to and burn when I wanted to. And it's not like that now. We have to be much more careful about our time and schedule it out a little bit better. And it seems to work better, at least for me. But it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not.
But we have it so much better than most. So I'm not complaining. Yeah. So where did the name Pickle Shop Curiosity come from? And what's funny is a lot of us have now that we're starting to, we call you Pickle, a lot of us now, which is funny, and especially when I think people hear where the name came from and stuff. But yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm asked all the time, especially at markets. They walk up and go, "Where are the pickles?"
Yeah, what? Yeah, where are the pickles at? Yeah.
But when I started the business about 10 years ago, when my this was born, and I started making kids clothes. I have a degree in fashion design, so it started with making kids clothes. When I had a kid to dress, and we called him our pickle. That was kind of our little name for him when he was a baby, and so it became Pickle Shop. And over the years, it has kind of morphed into multiple different things. I did kids clothes for a while. I did like birthday banners where I would actually like sew onto a ribbon all of
Cute.
pictures from each month of the first year of their life. The first, and then I had pennants in between, and those were kind of customized to the theme of the party. So I did those for a while, and then it morphed into wood burning in the last couple of years, and has taken off as that. And so Pickle Shop has just transitioned with all that because
That's so cool. It works for everything.
does.
Cool. And now it's like your nickname too, is that we call you Pickle, which is
Yeah, that was
funny.
Take it.
We just we just stole your nickname for your kid and gave it to you instead. It's okay. It's totally fine.
I don't think he's like that. He's almost 10. But yeah. And then the curiosity part is just because it's kind of when I named I came from my Instagram name, and I sort of thought, well, this is just me kind of posting whatever creative crafty things I'm doing, and it has become
Perfect. It's perfect because it's totally flowed with everything. It makes so much sense. It's great. That's awesome. Okay, so now I would love to talk about how you fell into this very, very niche upon a niche market that you have stumbled upon, and found really great success in. So I just would love to hear how you stumbled into this sassy pyrography realm.
Yeah. It's kind of been funny. I started wood burning it was 5 years ago. I made Christmas presents, and they were totally normal, like decorated spoons and stuff for friends. And then I wanted to make a sign for my house, and the sign that I made, I wanted to do like a bunch of fonts and lettering and things like that, and it was everything happens for a reason, but sometimes the reason is total donkey poo.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I made. And then
And you're just like, that's it. I know what I need to
well,
do.
and then about 2 years ago, a friend of mine was running a market. She was just starting out, and it was kind of an alternative market, was the way that they coined it. It was supposed to be stuff you really couldn't find at a typical market, sort of different, dark, and unique things. And so she asked me, she's like, I'd love for you to come. And I hadn't been making a ton of stuff at that point. I was just making for friends or whoever wanted a specific sign or something. And so she was like, well, just create a small table full of stuff and see what happens. And so, I was trying to think outside the box a little differently, and put on some fancy words, and and I sold really well, and that was sort of how it all took off. And I
It's
a bunch more markets after that, and I think in the last years I've probably done upwards of 40 markets.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
it's so cool. Yeah, and we're going to talk all about the markets because that's something that when you were at the retreat last year and you were talking about the markets and how you do them and how you've kind of streamlined that process, I'm excited to dive into that too. So you also teach classes though, and I would love to hear a little bit about how you fell into that and what kind of classes you teach and all of that stuff.
Yeah, well,
And if there's any sort of items that you have on your like teacher checklist that like are must-haves that you have to bring with you, things where it's like, oh, I make sure I always have XYZ, whatever it is.
okay. Yeah, last year I decided I'd start kind of reaching out and see if I could find locations to teach, and came across, gosh, somebody actually I think reached out to me. They knew that this location was looking for some ideas to just kind of build community. And it was an LGBTQ safe space. They were just opening. They were connected to a psychologist who, was familiar with that demographic, and they wanted to start to build their community and try and bring people into the center. And so I reached out and said, I'd be interested in doing a class, and we sort of sat down and came up with this fun, naughty wood burning class.
Yes.
And so I really wasn't sure, what to expect and what people would want to do, but it was sort of, we set it up like that. So there was, no judgment, and it was fun and just come, relax, and, have a good time. And so I went to the class with like templates and, kind of had an idea of what I would do with everybody. And then once I got there, everybody kind of had an idea of what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Curse words or something political or, pride or something. And everybody sort of had their own idea. And I was like, let's go for it. And so I did their own thing. And I was just, coach them through the process of how it all would go. And it just turned out to be so much fun. And in the process, kind of realized how much the lingo of wood burning sort of lent itself to the naughty wood burning class. And everybody was laughing, and it was just a good time. And
so cool. That's so much fun. I just love that you aren't afraid to do these different sort of things and put yourself out there in these different ways, or ways that may put some people off, but draw in other people. I love that you're not afraid,
Yeah, nervous in the beginning. Obviously that first market that I did was kind of set up as an alternative market, so it was expected, but then going into other markets, I was sort of nervous about, what to expect, especially, I'm in Florida, and you get sort of a mixed demographic here. There's a lot of older people, retired people, and then we have a lot of college students and things like that. So I really wasn't sure what to expect. And funnily enough, my most enjoyable customers are the older retired people who don't have kids at home anymore, and they can put these obnoxious signs on their walls, and they love it. And I will at some markets I'd have haggles of older ladies that are kind of quiet, and they come over and they just laugh and laugh, and they look at all the signs and they're reading all of them, and that's my favorite. I love it.
Well, see, and that's the thing that is so great about you and about your business, is that you are the most welcoming, wonderful, kind, happy, lovely soul, and then to have this spicy, sassy pyrotechny that you do, it's so whimsical. The whole thing is just so fun. I love it so much. So any recommendations that you have for people who are maybe looking to teach or want to be doing stuff in person? What should they be, sorry, I dropped my pencil, what should they be looking for, finding the location or the types of classes? What is it that you think about when you're looking for a place to teach at?
Yeah. I sort of stumbled upon that last location, and I've been reaching out to a lot of the kind of places that do the signs with the templates and painting and things like that. There's a lot of those in my area. The painting with a twist kind of things where you can drink with. A lot of those kind of places I've reached out, and they've been very interested in doing it. I haven't gotten on any schedules obviously right now.
Yeah.
Wind up at this point, but I'm hoping to once the world opens back up. But doing it at places like that, and having a place that has a following on Facebook or a schedule that they post somewhere where they're the ones reaching their customers, and you're not responsible for necessarily reaching students, because it's hard when you don't have, my demographic is maybe people who don't craft and they want to buy. So when I'm trying to reach my customers, I'm not necessarily reaching the people who want to learn or who want to craft or who are even in my area. Exactly. So having that has sort of that already set up is super helpful.
Makes it so much easier on you for promotional purposes. I mean, they do most of the promotion that way. Yes, you can still help and get some people in there possibly, but if they can do most of that work for you, then that's half the battle.
Putting it on their schedule where people are already looking. They're like, oh, we want to go out and do something. Let's check what their schedule is. It helps a lot.
Exactly.
success with promoting the events on Facebook, and finding like that. But yeah, that is, I think, the biggest help. Obviously, you want somebody who has the space that you need and, you know, the ability to set up all your burners and things like that. But it's pretty I mean, people are pretty flexible, and I
Yeah,
found that pretty flexible and enjoy.
totally. Okay, so these in-person craft fairs, I mean, you said you've done like 60 plus craft fairs, that's which is just mind-blowing. But I know that part of it comes down to the ease in which that you do the craft shows as to why you can do the number that you do. So I would love it if you just talk about your process from like literally packaging up your stuff and bringing it to these craft fairs, because that it blew my mind when I heard it. So I would love to
Yeah,
hear you talk about
yeah.
it.
Here, I'll pull it out and show you guys. But yeah, I am sort of lucky that in the area that I live in, we have a plethora of craft shows. I mean, I'm in Florida, and so you have nice weather year round, so we're able to have a lot of shows. We do have a lot of outside shows, but fortunately, we have a lot of inside shows because most of the time in Florida, you want to be in the air conditioning, especially for 5 hours. And you know, it's sort of a draw, especially in the summer months where people want something that's in AC, that's somewhere where they can be and entertain.
Yeah.
So I have been lucky to find a lot of different shows in the area, and I tend to like to go for the ones that are indoors, because it's a much simpler setup. Most of the time, they allow a 6 foot table. So I only have one table, and I just fill it with as much stuff as I'm able to produce between, you know, the last craft fair and that craft fair. You know, and if it sells, and great. If I don't have a ton of product, I'm still selling a couple things. So I try not to put too much pressure on myself to have a ton of product. I get done what I get done, and you know, I always have enough that I feel like I have a full table worth. But and I also try to sort of find craft shows that are less than about $50
Mhm.
for the full show. I have done some that are more, and if it's, you know, a reputable show that I know I'm going to make profit off of, I will pay more. But when I kind of only have to invest $50 and, you know, a couple of hours of my time,
Yeah.
it's the risk is kind of worth it at that point.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and I think you're really lucky where you live, because in California, the prices are a whole lot more expensive than that, even for a 1 day show. So, I mean, you can find some for free, even sometimes, or $50. You can find them if you know the right places to look, but a lot of them are several $100s depending on the show. So it just,
I mean, there are some in our area that are regular, that are very expensive, but there are a lot that are just, you know, smaller shows. I tend to do really well at breweries, so there's a lot in the
yeah.
area, big tap rooms where they have the space to put a bunch of vendors, you know, along the wall. We also, for a long time, I was doing one at a brewery that was like a Florida State University hub. So they played all of the Florida State football games. And so people were there, you know, to watch the game, and at halftime or whatever, they'd walk around and, you know, shop.
Yeah.
Got alcohol in them, and they're buying the funny signs that they
Yeah.
enjoy.
It's perfect. Perfect combination.
Yeah, so those typically work out well for me. And I also I try to be really picky about other vendors that they have. I like to make sure that it's mostly handmade items. You know, I don't want to be at a market that has like multi-level marketing setup.
Yeah.
Just sort of cheapens the market, I think. And you know, I mean, I understand that line of work, and that's great. But at the
Yeah.
same time, people who are there want to find local made craft things that, you know, are fun.
Well,
So
did you see, I don't know if you see this, Sizzle and Scorch is saying this is such great tips. And totally agree. These are such great tips.
awesome. And so let me see if I can turn this. I kind of
Yeah.
have my little, this is where I sort of condense everything. I have, this is a dolly that I got like a hardware store for like, I think it was $30. and it's been a lifesaver. So I have a big bin down here that I typically, it's empty right now because I have all my products elsewhere that I've taken
Yeah.
pictures of online. But I typically line up all of my larger pieces in here. I can get some smaller pieces on top. I do a lot of spoons, ornaments in the past. So I typically can fit most of my product in there. This I have, like, I'll put my tablecloth, my bags, my anything else. I sort of have like an emergency bag of like extra things that I might need,
Mhm.
little signs, and then I typically use this crate on my table for display. Sometimes I'll have a second one as well, sort of depends. I do a different setup almost every time because I always have different product because I'm
Yeah.
just sort of what I want to make and having fun with it
Yeah.
and doing different things each time. So I always do, like, right before show, I will set up my table in my garage or something, and I'll do my full layout. I kind of have a basic that I start with, typically a crate, and then start lining things up in front of that. So I'll set up my full setup, and then when I take it down, I typically sort of keep everything in order when I line them up in the box. So that way, when I get to the show, all I have to do is take it, put it on the table, and I'll use these, so I'll line them up, and they'll be ready to go. So I'm able to typically set up within about a half hour.
That's awesome.
So I've got these three, and then my table slides right in here, and I push the whole thing in, and I'm all set. So it's pretty. I've kind of got it all condensed so that I can do it in one trip. Oh no,
You guys.
I lost your sound.
Anyways, let's get back to it. Okay. So, you guys, she brings everything in with one cart and brings it all out with one cart. Set up and tear down is so quick, so fast, so easy. We all need to learn from this. Like, it's so smart, especially for those one-day shows where you just need to set up a table. But even on shows where you have extra days, you could probably just keep the extra stuff at home and then just replenish as you need to,
Yeah.
and just keep filling up that one table. So listen to Chelsea's advice. Get it down to one table if you can, and one trip from the car.
It's not.
Um, it's a really good one. Okay, so how are you shifting now that there are no craft fairs, and also too, are you going to join in on the Burn Club craft fair that's happening May 1st through the 3rd online?
I'd love to.
Hey, good.
um,
But I'm going to be shifting and doing a lot more sales and stuff online right now.
yeah, I mean, I don't have anything lined up for the foreseeable future. Even all the way into December, I've had the typical markets that I do that I really look forward to. They are already saying, we're not making a decision until probably September or so to see,
Right.
Um, so fortunately, in our area, I have a group that I'm a part of on Facebook called the Tampa Bay Etsy Crew, and it's all Etsy sellers, and they actually have a big market in July that, fingers crossed, we can do, because that's a very successful market as well. And so we're all sort of supporting each other, and they are posting on their pages our product as they can. There is another local fair that I've never been a part of, but she started a website for, I think it's shoplocaltampabay.com. I should know that. But so we're allowed to list up to 5 products on there at a time. So I've been
Great.
up. So it's really, really sweet.
And
Yeah.
that's something that everybody should be doing, is looking into their local areas, because there's a lot of local businesses and companies and groups that are pulling together to help people to sell their pieces and sell their work and get it in front of, more people, a
Yeah.
larger audience. So
Really,
into that.
local businesses right now, restaurants and things like that. And so, if you can get in front of people and say, this is what I have available, and I'm used to being out in public and selling. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I have a couple of little things like that, and then just listing my stuff on Instagram with prices, which doesn't help my engagement at all. But I know that if it's there, it's somewhere where people can all reference back to as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I have for right now. I'd love to get my website set up for selling myself. and hopefully get more listed. I would do it on Etsy, but a lot of people haven't been happy lately, and I haven't either. So I don't want to invest the time into that, I think,
Yeah.
for one-of-a-kind pieces. So if I could get it on website, I really would love to do that. It's just a matter of having the
Do
time.
it. Do it. You guys, let's help motivate her to get this
Yeah,
done.
I just need to find the time. Yeah.
I know. I know. You have the idea, you know what you need to do. It's just a matter of like actually sitting down and finding the time to get it done. I
Yeah.
feel you on that. I feel you on that. Um, so yeah, to the craft fair. So we are going to be doing the Burn Club craft fair because I just was thinking about how so many people are missing out on all of these craft fairs that they would normally be doing in the springtime and in the summer. And I wanted to help, and I know that it's something that like if we can just get enough people shouting it from the rooftops and be loud enough, and maybe we can draw an audience that's large enough where it actually feels like a real craft fair, where you're able to get it in front of like the number of people that you would at an actual in-person event. So that's my hope.
Yeah.
I've got Happy Camper Casey. Megan's going to be helping with it, which is really awesome. And it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be great. Anyways, I would love it if you would talk a little bit about your lettering journey, because we got a question from one person who Allie and Nick's Crafts was asking what fonts you use, and I don't think you use fonts anymore, which is fantastic. So, and you used to, right? You used to use fonts. So I would love to hear you kind of talk about your journey from using fonts to no longer using fonts.
Yeah, yeah. So I've sort of always been into like things like that. I actually grew up going to a school where we had to write with a fountain pen through 8th grade. I have like a good callus on my finger from writing with like a fountain pen. We had to do all of our homework except for math, all of our schoolwork. Italics. So we actually took a class learning italics. It wasn't quite calligraphy, but
Where
italics.
were you in the 19 like
I
1800s?
know, right?
Like where was this in America? I'm so confused right now.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is wild. Okay, okay.
We had like the fountain pen, you screw in the nib and it pops the cartridge, and so we're kids and we'd make messes, so there would be lots of messes where we'd come home and it was all blue ink, so like your nib would bleak and you'd have blue ink all over the place. You'd get it on your face.
I'm feeling so hard for all of my left-handed people who
Oh my
went to your school. Like, I
God.
cannot even imagine the mess I would have made as a lefty with a fountain pen.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was years and years of doing that. And so sort of when I got into wood burning, lettering just sort of became, what I like to do. And so I started out using fonts. So I would, print it out, I'd do a graphite transfer and then go over it with the wood burner, and just all of that tracing was practice. And so I got to a point where I stopped using my transfers, and I would, be able to do it on my own. So it was years of practice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome. And it's such a time saver to not have to do the transferring and to just
yeah.
be able to go straight to burning, or drawing and then burning it's a huge time saver. Okay, what about, I want to talk about adding color, and then we're going to actually dive into the wood burning like business bits. What do you use to add color, and what's your favorite?
Lately, I've been doing a lot more color. I think like since the new year, I just sort of decided I wanted to add more color than I was before. And what I love the most is colored pencils.
Mm.
I am able to get the detail without the mess.
What brand do you use?
I have Prismacolor, and I also have Arteza. I prefer the Prismacolor, but I still will use the Arteza sometimes if there's a like shade that I want.
Mm-hmm.
The Prismacolor goes on the smoothest on the wood. That is,
Okay. Well, and I based on what I've seen, the Prismacolors, the vibrancy in them is just like insane. Yeah.
that's all colored pencil, and
Yeah.
it's in, and I colored in, and it's a lot less messy than using paint, and it's a lot more colors for a lower price. you know.
Do you finish your pieces that are covered in colored pencil? No. Okay.
No, I don't put any finish on them. I never have, and I've never ran into any problems. I sort of never did it because I just didn't want to deal with like chemicals of, you know, a finish.
Yeah.
And I haven't run into any problems with the colored pencil on them
Yeah.
either.
Hey, I am also team no finish. Not for everything, but for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like I always add finishes to anything that's like going in the kitchen, you know, kitchenware and things like that. You always want, at least I always want to add oils and things like that. But stuff that goes on the walls that's not being touched, that's staying out of sunlight, I leave it as is.
Yeah, I like that matte finish to it too, where I don't like
Yeah.
the, it's just so pretty, the natural wood.
Yeah.
Um,
It's okay. It's totally fine to not finish it. Do you have any tricks with the application of adding color that you like would want to share about colored pencils? Anything that I don't know that has helped you?
yeah, I mean, like I said, the Prismacolor they are just so smooth on the wood and they blend really well. Like this
Mm-hmm.
one's blended colors,
Oh, yeah.
like green. And so getting that white in there really helps to sort of get all of that different. Like I just use three colors and I get, you know, different shades of the
And
blue.
you don't have to use any sort of blending pencil. The pencils themselves just blend together.
They blend together really pretty and, you know, they work out really well.
That's nice.
Enjoyed using them.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'm like, I need to get myself some of those.
Yeah, Prismacolor, definitely. I didn't think that.
I mean, I already have like three different kinds of colored pencils, but maybe I need to add a fourth, you know?
Why not?
Okay, we've got to ask the deserted island question. You're on a deserted island, you have power, and you can bring one type of wood with you, one burner, one nib of choice, and then like your non-essential but essential to you tool, like your tool that you have to have.
Okay. Well, my favorite burner is the Optima.
By PJL Enterprises. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. I just got it probably at the end of last year, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, because you got to try mine at the retreat, and so you got to feel it in your.
And that was the one that I really enjoyed, like the way the handle was shaped and the way it worked, and I really enjoyed that one. So I decided I have my piece up here. This was my testing piece.
So pretty.
This was the Optima. This was the razor tip or something.
I didn't even know this. I had no idea that piece so she made this piece at the retreat, and I had no idea that you made it using all of the different burners. That's so cool.
The sexy tip on the edge. And then the galaxy that we learned from Jen. So I sort of put it all in one piece, and that stays with me. That's not going anywhere.
That's so awesome. I love that so much. I love
Yeah.
that so much.
So,
That's what I haven't even asked you to do is show us all your work, but we'll do that right after this. So your favorite, the burner you'd bring is the PJL Enterprises, the Optima one. Okay, and what nib?
I would probably use this one. Where is it? It's just the small ball tip.
Really tiny.
Yeah, really tiny ball. I use that one for most of my lettering, and then also drawing with it most of the time. Well, I have and then I also use this large ball tip. That's like the biggest ball tip that they offer. I use that a lot as well.
The small one is the one, that's the one you bring into the island with you.
I think for me and what I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then what type of wood?
Basswood.
Basswood. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that would be my wood type as well.
I haven't messed with a ton of other wood. I would love to get Janny's kit. I need to do that, especially, you know, and try. I did do Aspen recently, the little Aspen Rustic Creations. They're little, and
those nicely.
Those are awesome. But basswood is just, that's home.
I get it. Me too. Okay, and then your favorite non-essential tool, but essential to you.
That's hard.
It
I don't.
is hard because I think we all have.
I use this a lot, but that might be essential. I don't know.
Well, I don't know that it technically is
Yeah,
because you know, wipe it. I mean, not on your pants, but you can, wipe it off on anything basically. So
yeah.
I would say that that's not necessarily. But what else do you have in mind? Like, what I want to see what
I know a lot
else.
of people have said razors. I've
Yeah.
seen that. I use that a lot as well. And then sort of a weird thing that I use is this is a nail file, like for filing down your nails. But I use it, and I know there's actual like a product. You have them at the retreat, the little tiny sandpapers. But I use this to get in like the little tiny spots that I need to sand off. I just had it on my desk one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's sort of my little mistake eraser.
No, it works well. It works really well. Well, and that's what's so fun is I love seeing people bring in other like tools from other art forms and other businesses and hobbies and crafts and bring it into the wood burning world. Like I think it's so cool. So it's a good one.
Yeah, I think my thing though, because with the ball tips, it helps a lot to get all
Yeah,
that.
yes. Brass brush is where it's at. I love my brass brush. It's right next to me while I'm burning the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, I would love to see some of your art if you have some around, and if they're available, let us know if they're available. But we just, yeah, show some of your favorite pieces if you've got some favorite pieces. I mean, you already showed us one, and that might be my favorite piece already just because of the story behind it, which I think is cool, but I want to see more.
Um, yeah, I think all of my favorites recently are ones that I've started adding color to. This one I really love, um, and all of these are available. I've had it for a little while, but I did, it was like a drawing challenge or something one month, and I think I only did the first 3 or 4 days, but I think it was Allie Kay's drawing
Mm.
challenge.
Yeah,
And
yeah. She did one where, like, was this the one where you couldn't lift your pencil?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so like I just tried it and it was not something I had done before, and I was like, wow, that's not so bad.
Beautiful.
I posted it in my stories or something, and somebody was like, I think it was Allie, was like, "Oh, you should burn that. It looks so great." And so I decided to burn that, and that was a really fun one. It's really simple, sort of, a little bit different from what I normally do,
It's
but
beautiful. Well,
um,
and that's what's so cool is so something that I learned about you at the retreat was like you came to the retreat with being the girl that had sassy pyrography and like it was, fun and sassy. And then you got there and I don't remember, what was it that you burned? You burned something. And I looked over and I was like,
it was the
what
straw.
was it that it might have been that? Yeah. And I was like, where has this girl been? Where is this girl's art? I want to see more of this too. Like I love the sassy stuff, but I want to see some of this too. And like it's been so cool to see that you like really picked up a bunch of like you've been doing more of like the art stuff on top of the sassy pyrography stuff, which I just think is really great to see.
It's kind of crazy because like I don't think I could draw that in pencil. Like it wouldn't work. And so like I mean I've always sort of been artistic, but I'm not like a great drawer. So when I kind of shied away from that stuff, but when I started to try it with a wood burner, you have to go slow. You
Yeah.
have to take
Yeah.
time. So I was more successful than I was ever with a pencil or a pen. And and just watching like people post videos of them or going live or whatever, watching people wood burn, I watch it because I love it, and I supporting my friends, and I enjoy seeing it. But then I realized I did a pet portrait recently, and I was like, it was for the first one I did was for my sister. She lost her dog, and so I wanted to make a memorial piece, and I
Mhm.
was, this might turn out terrible, I just won't give it to her. I'll get her something else. But I was like, it's worth a try. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you can tell this is a dog. And I think, watching Brandy work, and, just watching people work on fur and things like that, seeing it so much, I hadn't necessarily applied it yet. But once I tried to, like, all that knowledge was in there.
Yeah.
So I sort of surprised myself that I was able to do it because I just have seen it much.
Yeah, that's so fun though that you're like still continuously surprising yourself with your own talents and abilities. That's great.
Well, and I mean, it's this community, and having those resources to watch and learn from, and I never thought I'd be able to do something like that. And I've done a couple more.
Well, I mean, and this included, people are going to be watching this thinking, okay, next time I can do an in-person event, I'm going to, and I'm going to feel like more ready to do it, because
Yeah,
they heard you. So like that's what's so great about like just sharing our knowledge is that we all learn from it.
offer, and yeah, I mean, going on the retreat last year, I was so intimidated beforehand because there were so many amazing pyrographers, and I got there. I think you asked if anybody wanted to teach a class or if you had anything you want to do, and I was like, I'm just there to learn. Like, I've got nothing. And then I got there, and I did have things to share.
Yeah.
And, helped other people, and so it was really cool to connect in that way and not just feel like I'm the student. I'm also, helping other people as well, and that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what is really fun about this series that I've been really enjoying is that like I, will ask someone to join on and then I get to kind of dive into their business and into their world and into like their craft and what makes them different and why they're unique and special and it's so much fun to like be able to come up with all of these different questions and stuff for all of you different people because you all have such different businesses and art and even though we're all pyrographers it's so cool to see how unique we all are and our strengths and the stuff that like figured out and it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Started it in different ways and come along at different
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. It's just really cool to see. Show us more art, please. Please, please, please.
Well, I did this is the only one that I have left, but I did these spoons. It was a lot of fun. I called it my quarantine collection. I think it was more towards the beginning of quarantine. I was a little more creative and kind of was still optimistic. And so
you're like yes, I get it, and I think we all get it. Yeah.
Before it all sunk in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we were kind of lucky that because our kids spring break was the week that like the country kind of started shutting down and we had a trip planned to go just a couple of hours away. We stayed at an Airbnb literally in the middle of nowhere on a river and we kayaked for 3 days and we saw maybe 10 people the whole time we were there, so it was like the perfect social distancing trip.
Yes.
Still went, and so we sort of were spoiled and had a little bit of an extra time out of the house before we really had to dive into everything. But so when we got back I was still feeling chipper and optimistic, so I decided to do the quarantine collection. But I wanted to, obviously, I wasn't running out to the craft fair or to craft stores and buying more product, and
yeah,
I was trying not to order stuff, and so I was like, well, let me use what I have.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a collection, so I wanted some pieces that were all sort of similar, and I had a bunch of wooden spoons. I get these from IKEA, and I did for like the holidays. I sold spoons. Every time I'd go to IKEA, I'd buy 50 or 100, and they'd be like, "What the heck are you doing with all these spoons?" One lady,
a lot of pasta, okay.
One lady was like, "Are you doing like a display wall or something?" Sure.
Just spoons. That's my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I have a ton. So I was like, well, let me use those. But I really wanted to put color on it because I've been doing more color lately. And so I was like, well, it'll just be, a decorative collection. They can't be used. So I decided to hang them this way because typically the other wooden spoons I use this way because you would set them in like a utensil jar.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's flip it around. And so I just sort of picked a bunch of different sayings that I were optimistic and fun, and kind of went with the way I was at the time, and did themes on each one, and did colored pencils on them, and so those were a lot of fun. Last one
and they sold like hotcakes.
I did. I sold 5 of them. I had 6. I sold all 5 within the day that I posted them. And I also am donating $5 from each sale to Feed Tampa Bay, which is a local food bank. So, it was kind of my way of giving back and sort of, doing something inspired by the time we're in.
It's definitely hard to find some inspiration right now. One question that I got was, what inspires you? Like, where do you pull inspiration from?
A lot of times I see like memes and stuff that I think are really funny or will have funny quotes on them. And I'll go with that. I don't know, just, and then sort of things that I'm going through or things that friends are going through or like, we had a kind of crazy year last year. So I drew a lot of inspiration from that and just, sort of did fun stuff that would lift my spirits if I needed it, or something that felt more encouraging if I needed it. Sort of just things that I would put in my own room that like, I need at the time are what I like to put down, and hopefully it resonates with somebody. And a lot of
Totally does. There are so many times where you post something and I'm like, oh yes, she hit it on the head once again. Like this is so spot on.
this one was a fun one with birds.
Yes.
Right at when everybody was starting to be social distancing and staying inside, and
Yes. And look at that color. It's so vibrant. I cannot believe it's colored pencil. It blows my mind.
yeah, I really enjoy the colored pencils. And then if you get it like, on the burn, you just take your blade and scrape it off, and it's clean.
That's nice.
Really
Um,
enjoy.
we have a question here. It's do you have any burn pieces that you feel attached to that you wouldn't sell, sentimental value pieces?
Definitely this one from the retreat is one that is never going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Is mine to keep. I mean, it's really kind of random things anyway, and it was sort of we drank strawberry wine, and that was sort of where the strawberry ideas came from. So it was sort of inspired by that whole experience.
Yeah.
One that I won't ever get rid of. I just did the sun one that I did that says shine bright. I did it for March. I think you actually shared it on your feed.
Yeah, I love that.
That one I hung up in my living room, and I'm not sure it's going anywhere.
It's so nice. It's just like it just has like that 70s, 60s like
Yeah.
retro style to it that I love so much. Well,
Yeah.
and I realize I have to show this piece. So there's yours.
That was my hibiscus trying to just be, tropical.
It's so good. It's so good. Um, but it's just crazy to me because at that time, like I hadn't seen you do like even any sort of shading or florals or anything at that point. It was almost all text and funny sayings and stuff, and it just
Yeah.
was like you blew my mind that week, and I was like, wow, okay, all right,
I think I
you know?
some of it because it's just I didn't expect that was in there. But like I said, it's learning from everybody else. You pick it up whether you're actually doing it or just watching it.
Yeah,
So
but you're also curious enough to keep trying,
yeah,
it's that curiosity part of it.
fun. I mean, a lot of my products have kind of come from just trying something new. Like I do house plaques,
Mm-hmm.
like a line drawing of the house with the address below, and I do those for a local real estate agent. She does them for all of her closings.
Which anybody who's listening to this and is a pyrographer, you should be listening to this, because if you just land a couple really great real estate agents, you could have work for the entire year
Yeah.
as long as they have work. You know what I mean? So listen to this because it's amazing.
Find something that somebody would like to put in a new home. I mean, most of what we make is meant to be put on walls. So yeah,
Mhm.
somebody who is looking for gifts all the time, is a big help. So yeah, so I do those line drawings of the house. When I started doing that, I had a friend who was moving out of her house that she had birthed 2 of her kids in. They were home births, so born in her house, and she was so upset to leave. And there was a group of us, and we were trying to come up with some sort of gift for her, just to help cheer her up. And I had seen those line drawings, just the actual pen and ink drawings on like Etsy or something. And I was like, oh, well, what if we did something like this? And so I reached out to somebody and they never got back. And one of my friends was like, Chelsea, why don't you burn it? I was like,
Maybe I should.
sure. So was like, well, let's see, let's try it out. So like, I think I started by like, I printed out like a picture of the house and then I just like drew on the actual like picture to
Yeah.
get where the lines would be, and just sort of learned, and I've developed that process as I've gone on to more streamlined it. And so now I get the house on the wood pretty easily, and then I do the hand lettering for the address, and they're a pretty easy project to get out for somebody pretty quickly.
Well, and it's nice having a repeat customer like that and when you have a repeat customer where they know exactly what they're going to be getting and you know exactly what to expect from them, and you can like streamline the whole process where all they have to do is give you the address. All you have to do is, finish the piece and send it out. It just
text me the photo with the address, and typically she gives me about a week's notice, but there's been times where she's like, my closing got moved up, are you able to do this in a couple days? And I'm like, sure, I'll get it done. And so I'll stay up late one night and get it done or whatever, and then I just meet her and give it to her. It's super simple, and it's really a nice resource to have. And
exactly. And there are tons of real estate agents in every area of this enormous nation of ours. So y'all go out there and find some real estate agents, and seriously,
style popular, so most people will fit that into their decor in some way.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be anything too. It could be home sweet home sign, or it doesn't have to be of the home, but it's just such a great way to get that consistent work, which is awesome. Another question I got was from CG Designs, and she said, "Who's your biggest role model?"
Oh gosh.
Oh, hard one, huh? To put you on the spot like that.
I think, God, I think honestly, the community altogether. Like,
Yeah.
can I?
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's like mine too. I get it. Yeah.
It's so, there's so many people, and everybody is inspiring in different ways. Like we talked about, everybody has something different to offer. So, yeah, I think, I get so much inspiration from so many people in the community, but especially all of, the Burn Club or the retreat girls. We all still talk, and they're always there to bounce ideas off of, or help improve an idea or something like that. So
Or
yeah.
laugh at a meme.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then another question I got, this one was from Fine Art, etc. She asked, I think it's a she, sorry, I shouldn't assume. They asked, what new skill would you want to learn if you could?
Oh gosh, I would love to try portraits, but that is the most intimidating.
I have a feeling that it might end up very similar to your dog portrait situation,
Yeah.
where it's more the fear of doing it than anything else. And girl, I have it too. I've never done a portrait because they scare the heck out of me. But I do think that you should just go for it.
Yeah, I do need to try. I try.
Let's all encourage Chelsea to go for it, everybody.
Now I'm gonna have everybody messaging me.
Do it.
Get on me. I'll do it.
Yeah, you should. And you can always start with like someone where if you don't mess up their face, or if you do mess up their face, they won't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll still love you anyways. Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to, though. You're totally going to rock it. I know you will. You're going to be awesome. Any questions, you guys out there, for Chelsea? Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask her? I would love it if you would just if you want to show us around anything in your workstation or in your office or any other tools that you have. If you want to show us what you're working on currently, anything like that, feel free to just, show us around.
Yeah, sure. Currently, I am not in the middle of anything, but I think I've sort of lost some motivation, and
That's okay. It's not just the lack of motivation, it's the lack of time. And then honestly, I feel like a lot of us right now, basic needs are a little bit, you know, it's a little bit harder to get your groceries and
Mhm.
toilet paper and jobs and all of that stuff. So like give yourself some time to like adjust and be okay before you start beating yourself up about not being creative. You know what I mean?
And I've still done some things here and there. Let's see. And these were something I did recently. The coasters on the Aspen. And these were inspired by, I always mess her name up, Boston Park. I
By
don't know.
who? Oh, Flowston Park. Yeah, yeah.
I have some of, actually, West Pyrography bought me her friend's set of coasters. And so I have those. And she does like the blacks out the background. And that's something that I hadn't really done. So I wanted to try that out. And they're a lot of fun. I like the way those turned out.
They're beautiful.
And I've done some magnets, cute little things like that. I'll do those every once in a while if, you know, I want a small piece to do. But this year I've sort of kind of tried, like my theme of the year was sucking at something new. So I've been trying to sort of try something new each month.
That's
Like
awesome.
bring back in that curiosity part of it. I did the lino pets.
Yeah.
Tried those, and I made these little thank you cards that go in
So
my
cute.
when I mail off products.
I did not realize that you had made those. I had
Um,
no idea. That's so
yeah,
awesome.
so I did like the stamping. I did 3 different stamps, and you know, just fun stuff. And like, I mean, I'm trying out something new, but I made it usable. It's not
Yeah,
perfect. I mean, it going in a car or in a package, it's probably not something somebody will necessarily keep, but you know, it's just something fun and usable.
that's
Um,
so fun. I've done some like stamp cutting
yeah,
things in my past. We did it for our wedding like
yeah.
10 years ago at this point, but it's fun. It's really fun. It's similar to wood burning, I feel like it's the carving, it's satisfying in the same sort of way.
Yeah, yeah. I there was a lot of similarities, and it sort of is the same therapeutic effect where
Yeah.
you're, you know, going slow, but something's emerging from, you know, this regular piece of,
Yeah.
you know, what,
Right, right. And it emerges in a very similar way where it's like one little bit at a time.
yeah,
It does have a similar sort of feel as wood burning.
yeah. So I really enjoyed that. And I've been trying to do more with lettering. I'm hoping that I'm gonna say Friday. You guys can get on me. But when I reached 2,000 followers, I reached out to a company to see if I could test their product, and so I'm hoping on Friday to do a giveaway of product. I'll give you a little hint. Um,
Oh, like I can't tell what that is. Do it again. Do it again. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Here, I guess I can give you another little hint.
Woo! Oh, I'm excited.
So try something new and different. Um, so I'm hoping to show that on. I'm still here.
Is it good?
Yeah, you're a little
Okay, good.
delayed, but you're.
Okay.
And then hopefully, you know, do a giveaway with that. Um, Other than that, let's see, what have I been working on? I don't know, that's about it, but I can show you some of what I have
I
here.
like your wall that you have with everything all like laid out. It's really nice.
Yeah, so I have like this is kind of my pack, like finishing. I've got the brackets that I put on the back of all of the pieces.
Yeah, and if you guys don't have those kind yet, get those kind. It's the no nail kind. Do not buy the kind with tiny nails and smash your fingers. Get the no nail kind. Yes.
You just smash them in. It's easy.
It's so easy.
So I put those on the back, and then I have a stamp that I put on the back. I'd love to get, you know, a brand one day, but that's goal.
Yeah.
So
Little
that's
by little.
my finishing stuff, and I have a hammer so that, you know, nobody else walks off with it. I've got my masks, and I use the leather strop for cleaning. I actually, because I have some here. knocking things down. I did, that one's blanking. Leather bracelets. These leather bracelets, I tried those out right after the holidays just to try and find something new. So it's real leather and you just burn on it, you turn your burner way down. So those were a lot of fun. And
If they burn like butter, don't they?
They do. They do. And see, so I messed one up, and so I used that as my cleaning tool.
Everything can be reused and repurposed. I love it.
Well, I was like, because when you mess up on wood, you can typically sand it or scrape it away, but on these,
leather. Yeah.
Done. So I was so bummed. I was like, man, I'm wasting it. And I was like, wait a minute.
Someone is asking, how important is it to wear a mask while burning?
Very. That it is very important. I use the RZ mask. I got this at the retreat. This was the one that I think you had recommended before. I used that for a while.
The 3M one, it works really well for filtering air, but it hurts my face.
Yeah.
It hurt my jaw. I would hold my mouth while I had my face in there, so it just wasn't as comfortable as the RZs.
Yeah, I really like the RZ. I use that almost all the time.
But not just a mask, you guys. You should also have a fan on that is pulling smoke away from you. Make sure you've got good ventilation where you're working. If you can work outside, like really do everything you can. Yeah. And you face the fan away from you, like so it's pulling the air through it and out away from you. Yeah. So very, very important.
I also have, if you can see my air purifier right there.
Yeah.
I am super crazy about the air in our house. We have
as you should be.
a big purifier in our living room and smaller ones in the rooms. But I also burn in the room that I sleep in. This is my bedroom, so I'm trying to make sure that it's as clean here as possible. Yeah. But so yes, always use a mask. I can actually tell when I'm burning without one. I get like my lymph nodes start to like feel, and I can just kind of tell when it's starting to kind of clog up in my system, and so I almost always use my mask.
Yeah, it really is great. Yeah, the air purifier. You can also get it's a charcoal filtered air extractor, or a fume extractor is what it's called. Those are also great too. Yeah. So just everything and anything you can to protect yourself, and not just yourself, but the people around you and people that are going to be breathing that same air that, in your family room, your bedroom, wherever you are. So really important that you take care of your lungs and people around you's lungs. So this is your workspace. You've got your fan. Nice window.
Yeah, I use my natural light. I have the creative burner there. I still use that one for my shading tip. I used that one for a while. I started out with this, and I used this.
That's the detailer, isn't it?
No, this is the basic like value
detailer. Yes. Just the regular. I think they call it the creative burner or something like that. It's the value tool.
It's the value tool from Walnut Hollow, and that is the like tip on that was what I used the most for the longest time. So I actually I had upgraded to the vertical at one point.
That is an upgrade. That's definitely an upgrade from the value tool, because you have temperature control then.
Yes. So I had upgraded to that, and it doesn't come with this tip. This tip is only in the value tool. And so I was still using the same tip, and I think I was using my Versatool for like a week, and the tip broke because it was so old, because I used it for about 4 years, I think, before that. It was old. So I decided to upgrade. That was when this one came out from Walnut Hollow.
Yeah.
So I upgraded to that, and I did like the sorry, knocked my pencil sharpener down. The bulb tip on that one was what I used a lot, but I missed this thick, tip that I could get. So that was when after the retreat and stuff, I decided I wanted the Optima with that big, thick ball tip.
Yeah.
I've only got, these are the only tools that I use for the Optima. These were the only ones I bought. That's the small ball, that's the largest ball, and then I forget what this one is,
Little,
but
it's like a just
it's weight almost.
a cutter of some sort. Yeah.
It's small rounded skew. That's what it's called.
Oh, rounded. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Is the tip rounded? It looks sharp. It's not.
it's
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
pretty thin. But
Yeah.
yeah. So those are the only three that I've ordered from them so far. I'd like to get, shader and stuff, but this works just fine for a shader because, I don't need the high
High
heat.
heat shading. Right.
Because this one needs high heat for that tip to heat up. That one
Especially when it's got that much metal at the tip, the big one, you really need to crank it up to get it as hot as you need it to be. Yeah.
So I still use this creative burner for my shader. Let's see, what else do I have on here? I have like cards and packaging stuff. I have some of my finishes that you guys gave us at the retreat.
Yeah.
And then just sort of some other little crafty things. I do a lot of different crafts.
Like you're so streamlined. It just seems like like my office, my space, I take up an entire room. I have an entire closet full of stuff, plus a cabinet, my desk, and then there's my burning desk, and then all my, like, it's just so much stuff. And it's really nice to see that you can have like a very successful wood burning business and be streamlined and be compact, and still be super successful.
Yeah, having a background in sewing. Sewing is a lot of supplies. It's a big mess. You have to have a lot of space. You have a giant sewing machine. So coming from that, like that was what I was doing for a long time for my business. But having small kids, I wasn't able to sit down in a room by myself and pin or cut or sew as easily. So that was kind of how it morphed into wood burning.
Mm.
It's something I'm able to do, for a few minutes if I wanted to.
Pause and yeah.
Yeah, it's not this big production. It's sort of portable. I can take it with me if I want to go outside for a little bit. And it's simple. It's just a couple little tools and a piece of wood. And that was really, kind of how I transitioned into that from sewing is because it was just so much simpler. A sewing machine breaks so often, things go wrong all the time. And so
I do not have the patience for sewing, not even close. I have the patience for wood burning. I do not have the patience for sewing.
lost my patience for sewing. Yeah, so just being able to have something that's, much simpler, it's less stressful,
Yeah.
Like I said, things go wrong all the time when you're sewing, your machine will be working fine and then all of a sudden it's not.
Yeah.
So having something that is a creative outlet, but it's not stressful, and it's actually the opposite. It's sort of relaxing, and it forces me to slow down. And that's, that was why I got into it. So yeah, keeping it compact and keeping it simple is really, was my goal. To be able to have a creative outlet that kind of fits. I have a closet in the hallway that's full of a bunch more supplies if I need it, and I keep a lot of my garage for markets. But yeah, to be able to have a little space where I can go and it's not overwhelming and it's calming and it's simple and something that I can get my creative outlet and kind of I do it.
It's awesome. It's so awesome. Thank you so much for doing this with me. We totally ran over the time, but it's totally okay. Because they didn't cut us off because we got cut off one time, so they didn't. So Instagram didn't cut us off at 1 hour, which I'm totally cool with. It's so nice to be able to chat with you. If anybody has any more questions for Chelsea, I will do a little question box in my stories after this, and you can ask her. You will get to see this live video up on YouTube very soon. And then tomorrow I have My Art of Gold on, Mallory. So we'll get to learn from her tomorrow, which is really exciting. Um, thank you so much for doing this. It's always such a pleasure to see you and to chat with you. I'm sure we could talk for another 3 hours if we were given this. But I so appreciate you. One more time, can you just tell everybody where they can find your art, where they can find your stuff, where they can find you, all of that?
I am Pickle Shop Curiosity, and I have most of my products listed on my Instagram. Anything you see, let me know. DM me, message me, whatever. And I have pickleshop.etsy.com is my Etsy shop. I have my custom orders in there, and I also have a Facebook page called Pickle Shop. So yeah, that's all the places I am. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was so much and so informative. Seriously, I feel like I walked away learning stuff, which is great. Like that, I'm like, yay, I love it. Thank you so much. We'll see you all later, and I'll see you on Instagram. Bye, guys. Bye, Chelsea.